Welcome to part 2 of my top 10 best episodes of MLP Season 5. In case you haven't already, you should take a look at my previous video for numbers 10 through 6. Beyond that, let's get right into...
Throw off the veil, it's finally time.
Number 5, Amending Fences.
Oh my gosh! Moon Dancer? Is that... Shh!
Throughout the MLP series, we've seen a number of examples of what might have happened to each member of the main 6 if they didn't have that element of harmony we've come to know them by. And now with Amending Fences, we see a very real example of what would have happened to Twilight Sparkle without friendship, right down to using the exact same model of Twilight with only a few variations in color. Yet, unlike Lightning Dust or Surrey Polo Mare, this new character Moon Dancer actually does change for the better. It was rather fascinating to see just how quickly the fandom fell in love with this character, and for good reason. Just how many of us can remember that one moment we decided to step outside of our comfort zones in the hopes of making friends, and have it all fly back in our faces? For a lot of people, it can be very hard overcoming that hurdle, opening yourself up to that possibility again. But I love seeing just how well this episode emphasizes the importance of reaching out, even after years of pain and regret. And I have to admit, I would thoroughly enjoy seeing Moon Dancer make a return for Season 6.
Throw off the veil, it's finally time.
Number 4, the main attraction.
Howdy, rah-rah! Hoopsies!
This might just be the best Applejack-centered episode in the entire series. Applejack has always been at her most enjoyable when she's focused on helping others, and the conflict here is certainly no exception. The character of Rah-Rah, which is still an adorable nickname by the way, made for a very relatable character when displaying a very understandable weakness. It becomes so easy to forget what got you started in the first place when you're constantly surrounded by adoration. And I love seeing that she had to make a choice. I can't imagine she would have allowed her life to become so controlled and so demanding unless there was a genuinely attractive element to it all. Top that with some jaw-dropping visuals, an absolutely fantastic set of musical numbers, and an ending that really tugs on your heartstrings, and I'm sure the main attraction will be sticking around in our memories for years to come.
Throw off the veil, it's finally time.
Number 3, Slice of Life.
How am I meant to practice with a monster invading Ponyville?
Maybe it's just a friendship problem, and it'll all be cleared up in a half an hour or so.
Holy cow! I don't know if I've ever seen a show that dedicated an entire episode to fan interpretations of secondary characters, and in such a creative and entertaining fashion to boot. The story tends to go all over the place with only a few very loose ties keeping everything together. But the fantastic interactions and the out-of-nowhere character inclusions more than make up for it. The speed and creativity of the animation, the completely unexpected introductions, and the subtle jokes in the background requires multiple viewings just to pick up on everything. I can't think of a greater love letter to any fandom from the creators of their favorite show than Slice of Life. I can admit that so much fan pandering would get rather old if they kept using it on a regular basis. But for their 100th episode, I'm glad to see the MLP staff show so much appreciation to the fans who have kept them going for so long.
Throw off the veil, it's finally time.
Number 2, the Cutie Remark.
Wait, are you an alicorn? Come on, I thought you were fast. Actually, I just remembered I have somewhere I need to be.
What an ending to Season 5. I mean, occasionally we get a story where we question what happened in this episode. And now we get to say what didn't happen. While Slice of Life brought us a ton of what-ifs for the background characters, the Cutie Remark brought us a ton of what-ifs for all the major villains. And yet still presented an engaging time travel story, a huge amount of fanfiction potential, and a redemption arc for Starlight Glimmer which may actually add a new main character to the series as a whole. Both Celestia and Zecora got some much needed development for their characters I'm sure we won't be forgetting anytime soon. And all of it surrounding the question of what if there had never been a Sonic Rainboom? Perhaps Starlight's redemption felt a little quick, but for what they had to work with, there are just way too many entertaining and even thought-provoking positives for me to give this episode anything less than fantastic. Before I reach number 1, I'd like to give special mention to a few episodes that, even though not quite measuring up to the other entries on this list, still deserve an honorable mention. And the best episode of MLP Season 5 is, say it with me everyone,
There's more to me than glitz and glam. Oh, and now I feel my stars align.
Crusaders of the Lost Mark.
And suddenly, I wasn't even allowed to speak. You could have actually won this election if you just listened to me. You want to know how? Sorry, I'm not allowed to speak.
What was essentially magical mystery cure for the Cutie Mark Crusaders has become one of the most beloved episodes in the entire series. And with the way everything came together, you'd swear this had been planned from all the way back in Season 1. And yet we still didn't see it coming. The revelation that Diamond Tiara doesn't really know who she's supposed to be, wishing she was some pony else. And yet Diamond Tiara has always been pushing the CMC to care about having a Cutie Mark. Always pointing out their flaws, which encouraged the CMC to stand together. Their whole group got started because of Diamond Tiara's taunting. And airing this episode exactly 5 years to the day from the very first season premiere just made their Cutie Mark moment all the more fantastic. While not nearly as entertaining as the Cutie Remark or Slice of Life, Crusaders of the Lost Mark contains the greatest emotions, the greatest accomplishments, and really the greatest end to the CMC's search for a Cutie Mark that we could ever really ask for. So, just like with the top entry for my Season 4 list, I have to award the best episode to the Cutie Mark Crusaders. I eagerly await the day when we get to see the next chapter in their lives together. So, that's my list for the top 10 best episodes of MLP Season 5. And honestly, I'd like to hear what each of you think. How does this list compare to your favorites? Do you believe any other entries deserve the top spot? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and let us hope for an even better Season 6 as the MLP staff continues to push the boundaries of inspiring characters, animation, and stories. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.